This is the Breitspurbahn, an enormous train, 6 meters wide, 7 meters high. Inside, it is incredibly luxurious and heavily armed. Hidden under a dome is an anti-aircraft installation. There are countless weapons on board and cabins filled with soldiers. The train was the brainchild of none other than Adolf Hitler. It was his personal favorite toy. While many of his megalomaniac projects were cancelled as the war progressed, he tried to force this one into existence until his end, because it was central to the Nazis' plans for world domination. Hitler was well known for his insane infrastructure projects. The German stadium was to be built in Nuremberg alongside the Congress Hall and the Zeppelin Field, with space for 400,000 people. It would have been the largest arena in the world. The Elbe High Bridge in Hamburg would have dwarfed the Golden Gate Bridge. These and many other projects were scrapped when the Nazis started losing World War II, but the Breitspurbahn was different. It was considered one of Hitler's favorite projects. In 1941, it was given top priority. Hitler personally demanded that all forces necessary be deployed to realize it. Although steel was already extremely scarce at the time, his project was granted 84,000 tons. We actually found the original plans for Hitler's monster train. The German historian Anton Joachim Stahler collected from several archives and published them in this book. Although the entire German industry was geared towards warfare, the Nazi leadership commissioned the same companies to develop the Breitspurbahn. Over 100 designs for locomotives and wagons were submitted. The distance between rails is called the track gauge. Even back then, the standard gauge of 1,435 millimeters was already widespread all over the world, with small deviations in some countries. Hitler originally wanted a 4-meter wide gauge for his train. After a lot of back and forth, he was finally persuaded to settle for 3 meters. The train itself was massive too, 6 meters wide and 7 meters tall. The length was up to 420 meters for the passenger trains and over a kilometer for freight traffic. A double-decker, as demanded by the Führer. Today's trains almost seem puny in comparison. Inside, the Breitspurbahn was supposed to be packed with luxury. The first class was located on the upper deck for better views. Here you had the most space, a lush interior with coat racks and comfy armrests. Directly below, usually on the lower deck, was the second class. Still spacious, the third class was a bit narrower. Additionally, there were countless communal areas. You could sip wine, smoke, and lounge on sofas in a bar. Similar setups, just without the bar, were found in a reading and socializing area. The planned dining car was particularly impressive. In the drafts, it was paneled with natural wood, adorned with gold and had chandeliers hanging from the ceiling. It was supposed to be the only single-decker car, with ceilings so high you wouldn't feel like you were on a train. Besides this main hall, there were additional restaurants and breakfast rooms planned. The train was also to feature a cinema for almost 200 people. A smaller stage should host lectures and performances. The train was meant to travel far, so the plans included sleeping cars. In first class, after a spacious reception area, wealthy Nazis would find roomy sleeping compartments, with sofas, armchairs, a vanity table, and a large window with an outside view. The first class rooms were also supposed to have their own toilet, sink, and shower. The smaller bedrooms in second class only had a sink. Nevertheless, all passengers could freshen up in the bath car. It was supposed to host 4 bathtubs and 20 showers. Additionally, there were layouts for ladies' and gentlemen's hairdressing salons, so the undercut wouldn't suffer during the journey. Also, there were storage and staff rooms. A pastry shop would supply guests with snacks, fresh cakes, and all kinds of drinks. Another highlight was planned at the very end of the train, a fully glazed viewing platform. At this point, we wish we had a smooth bridge to today's sponsor, but that's pretty tough with this topic. They're a cool company though, and this is how we finance making these videos, so please hang on. Holzkern makes fantastic fashion accessories featuring natural materials such as wood and marble. They only use FSC certified or residual wood from the furniture industry. Holzkern has a collection of over 1,000 items to choose from. This watch, for example, is made from walnut wood and marble. This ring features maple wood, and this rose gold necklace has a moonstone embedded. Their build quality is great, and due to the natural components, every piece is unique. Through the link in the description below, and with the code FERN, you can get an exclusive discount of 15% on your first order. Thanks to free express shipping, it will be with you within 2 to 5 days. There is a 24-day money-back guarantee, so feel free to try out Holzkern. While the planned first and second class carriages could only accommodate about 200 passengers, there were more than twice as many seats in third class. They could have easily fit over 500 seats in third class, but with the Breitspurbahn, they wanted to ensure a comfortable journey for everyone. Well, not everyone. These are designs for the so-called Eastern worker carriages. There were no seats, only benches for 8 travelers per compartment. These work slaves were supposed to sit on the benches during the day and sleep on them at night. This provided space for a total of 480 work slaves. They did not have access to the rest of the train. Their food was supposed to be cooked in a large kitchen next door, pushed through the train in buckets, and then distributed at a canteen. Let's zoom out at this point. What did Hitler aim to achieve with the Breitspurbahn? Why did he prioritize it so much? On March 24, 1942, Hitler had lunch with his state secretary Hermann Esser and the architect Hermann Giesler in Munich. There he explained,
"Just as we need a fast connection to Constantinople, now Istanbul, we need a fast connection between Upper Silesia and the Donets Basin. We need trains that can travel at 200 kilometers per hour. We need to build wider carriages, preferably 2-story from the outset. The upper floor in particular must offer a good view. It must also be possible to use the tracks for double-track freight traffic. Only in this way will it be possible to develop the eastern region, especially economically, in line with our plans. Even if the implementation of this railroad program naturally involves a wealth of difficulties, we must not let this deter us."
The Breitspurbahn was key in Hitler's plans to conquer the world. He aimed to replace maritime shipping with trains. His broad-gauge rail network was supposed to stretch across the entire European continent and beyond. There were discussions about a route from the Mediterranean at Gibraltar through Spain, Marseille, the Rhone Valley, to Munich. Here, a huge junction station was supposed to be built. From there, it would head south to Rome, or eastward through Vienna to Budapest, Belgrade, Bucharest, and then to Istanbul. Another route was supposed to run from Brest through Paris, the Ruhr area, to Berlin. From the German capital, Breitspur trains should have gone through Poland and Belarus directly to Moscow. There were plans to extend the Breitspurbahn through Iran into Iraq, targeting the rich oil reserves there. There were ideas to build a railway all the way to Vladivostok on the Sea of Japan. Another line was supposed to reach British-occupied India. The Breitspurbahn was not only planned for passengers, but also for freight transport. Hitler wanted to supply his Reich with raw materials and natural resources from all over Eurasia. At the same time, workers from the east were to be transported to factories and agricultural fields in Germany, hence the Eastern worker carriages. In the other direction, Germans should have spread across half the world by train. It was intended as a tool to mass colonize. As such, the Breitspurbahn was heavily armed, in case they would meet local resistance. It was supposed to carry soldiers and had enormous ammunition chambers. The train could even be used to transport heavy weaponry, such as tanks or whole ships. Ultimately, the train was never built. After the war, some plans were taken to the Soviet Union. Files on the planned routes to France are said to be in Paris. They were not published and apparently not pursued further. That's not surprising. From the beginning, many experts of the German rail company were convinced that most of the Breitspurbahns areas of operation could also be covered by standard gauge trains. But of course, nobody dared to seriously contradict the Führer and talk shit about his toy. Like so many of Hitler's projects, the Breitspurbahn was a gigantic, embarrassing show of megalomania. The leading Nazi architect Albert Speer said later,
"The more monumental and oversized in scale, the more enthusiastic Hitler would be about a project."
The Breitspurbahn powerfully illustrates the extent of Hitler's conquest plans. The fact that he pursued such a bizarre project until the last days of the war shows how limitless his greed and madness truly were.